Hey guys, so previously I talked to you about this idea of building a second brain, how important it is to have a system in place for learning or for gathering inspiration, knowing where to organize whatever you learn, and knowing where to go whenever you want to retrieve it. All of this through note-taking and diving into the real content or the essence of all of these pieces of knowledge, which now we have accessible thanks to the internet or through YouTube or ebooks or articles or anything. Now in this video, I just want to briefly go over my own setup of a second brain. I want to talk to you about Bear, this application that I use, why I use it. I will mention some of the functions, or at least the functions that matter to me. And maybe you can get an idea of how I organize all my notes, how all the things that I was mentioning before look in a practical way. Bear is Mac only, but some of the things of how I use Bear, I'm sure you can apply to other different applications. The main reason actually that I stick to Bear is because of its appearance. I feel like the design is so beautiful, so simple, so minimalistic. It just encourages me to type, and at the same time, it also makes me want to read because it's so simple, so clean, and it uses Markdown. So you can give format to your text as you type. Italics. You can even highlight text. Highlight. And as you can see, the symbols that you type stay there. Kind of becomes part of the design or the aesthetic of the application itself. From the design standpoint, I really feel like Bear is the winner. In the functionality side, well, there's the Markdown. There's also the way that you can link notes or create links. For example, whenever you're typing, you can start like this, and I will say documentary. And here I have a note that I created before on this documentary. And I can click it, and it will send me to that area. About the way that Bear organizes the notes is through using tags. That's also a very special and very cool functionality, I think. For example, let's make this hashtag test. So it creates kind of like this category. And I feel like this is so much better than folders, because if you use tags or hashtags, you can have one note appear in several different places at the same time, which is super useful whenever I am, for example, preparing a YouTube video on a certain topic, and I know that I already wrote several notes on different sources that are related, and I can just, for example, go directly to this note and give it the tag that I just created, test, and then note. There it is. So now I have the note appearing here together with my original note. And at the same time, it's in a different place. So the same note can be in different places. Whenever I finish using this one, I can just go back, delete this, and it will go back to its place. Now, this is the basic functionality of Bear. And I was telling you, with building a second brain, it goes through this framework or this system, which is capture, organize, distill, and express. And each of these steps really we can go so much into detail, but in general, the way that I capture things in notes, it varies depending on the content. If it's a YouTube video, there's one way. If there's a podcast, or if it's a PDF, I have kind of developed my own system for every different source. And I could even make a video about different sources or how I do all of this. If you're interested, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to share with you. I think that even the new system of Mac and the new update on the Notes original application has some really cool functionality that lets you capture notes in a very quick and effortless way. And that's the actual importance of all of these things, that you should offload ideas from your brain as soon as you have them. Because, as David Allen says in his Getting Things Done system, the brain is for making ideas, not for holding them. And I feel like building a second brain is also built a little bit on top of this idea. So anytime that you meet something, you should really have a way to easily put it out and easily put it in a note. Bear doesn't have a very Actually, it does have a shortcut that you can create here in Bear, in Preferences. You can go to a global shortcut and it creates a new note, but it still opens the application. It still will pop up. In my case, I figured out that by using Alfred, another application that allows you to really automate or control your computer in many, many amazing ways. Through Alfred, I was able to create a workflow that allows me to capture notes effortlessly and in the background anytime. For example, let me close Bear. Let's say I am working on something else and I just say, okay, let's capture this. Capture this. That's it. It already was captured in Bear. Let's go open Bear, and I have a shortcut for opening Bear, and now it's in my inbox. Capture this here. I created this tag inbox so that anything that I capture on the go or whenever I have an idea or something, you can go here and maybe like in the morning or once a day or once a week, I will go in and check this, and then I can categorize this into the correct area or resource where it should go. Also, I made in this same workflow that I created for Alfred, I can go into, let's go into Chrome, into a website. And I can, for example, select all this text and I can just send it to Bear like that directly. Now I go into Bear and it appears the text that I highlighted and a link to the website. I can even go into my email and do the same, highlight some text from my email, and it will create the note, or it will put it in my inbox, and it will also create a link to the original email. All of this is a way to always have the ability to create a note right in your fingertips. And this workflow that I created, I have to tell you, I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer, I just know very, very basic stuff. But Bear has this thing called, let's callback, URL callback, which is super useful, especially with something like Alfred. Basically, I just tell Alfred to open an URL and it will tell Bear to create an action. So this workflow that I have for capturing ideas or for capturing notes, you can also make new note, for example, new note, title, and this is the content. There it is, it's a new note. So I can totally control Bear and make new notes or add notes to my inbox from any source, websites, emails, anywhere that I am, any moment, just with a quick shortcut. I would be very happy to make an entire video about it because there's so many functions that I built in it. And for example, I continue to grow it whenever I have an idea and I figure I can do something. Like right now, I'm thinking that maybe I can be typing something, and whenever I have some word or a name of somebody that I know that I already wrote an article about it, I want to make a workflow that I can type that name, and when I click it, it will make a search for all my notes related to that. That's something that's an idea that I have right now that I hope to implement in my workflow. Building a second brain has to do a lot with organization. Capture, organize, steal, express. Organization, there's this method called PARA. Projects, areas, resources, and archive. Basically, every piece of information that I encounter, I know where to put it. If it will go to a project, if it will go to one of my areas of my life, one resource. And the next step is, after organizing, distill. And this means looking for the core message or the essence of that piece of knowledge. For example, I have a book here that I just read. And this is a pretty big note. Normally, it's not like this. It doesn't have to be like this. I have notes that are only of one paragraph or one sentence. I think the important thing is that each note should come from one separate source. That way, whenever you are creating something, you can grab a note from here, a note from there, and totally remix it into something new. In this case, this note comes from a book. So I have the highlights of the book itself. And as you can see here, I'm using bold text, I'm using highlights. All of this, again, comes from a system called progressive summarization by Tiago Forte. I will give links to all of these things that I'm telling you, and you can learn more. But basically, it's like a way to get to the core information layer by layer. The highlighted things are the things that stood out to me the most. And at the top, I try to use my own words to express something about the book. This way, even though I didn't use the content of the book to solve a problem or a project that at that time I had, I still did an effort to change all of that content into my own words. So I write some impressions, some insights, some thoughts, some quotes that stood out to me, and a brief summary. I have a video coming up, for example, where I know I will come back to this note because I have some things that I want to mention from it. I don't even have to read the entire note anymore. I can just go to the top and I can just get some quotes or maybe my summary. In the bottom, you can see I have this is for the organization. It's in resources, it's in books. And I also add some tags. Now, this is not part of the building a second brain system itself, because that system tells you that instead of tags, the searchable part of your note is inside the content itself. The reason that I use tags is to expand the possibilities of this note appearing in the future whenever I'm searching for one of these terms. Journaling, diary. For example, this book has nothing to do with journaling, but I feel like this word connects with it. So if in the future, and I do plan to talk a little bit about journaling, I know that by searching for a note called journaling, this one will appear. Story-worthy by Matthew Dix. And by the way, this is another workflow from Alfred that allows me to search my notes very quickly. Documentary or photography. See, all of my notes appear there. I just click it and it will open it in a different window. Now, the last step in all of this building a second brain that I was telling you is to express. It means that the best way to learn is by making something or sharing something with all the knowledge that you have gathered. And that is one of the reasons that I was telling you that I type all of this in my own words. That is the reason also that I'm trying to make these YouTube videos, because I'm gathering knowledge and I'm also trying to share with you. Now you will say, but like, why all of this trouble? Like, why go through all the process of organization and summarizing and writing and typing and bolding and highlighting? Why finding an application or building a workflow to manage with your notes? And the thing is that all of this really doesn't feel so much like work, because this is all things that inspire me in the first place. So if I am inspired by them, I want to dive deeper and I want to use all of this inspiration in a way to make a difference. We live in a world where there's so much information and so many pieces of knowledge in the internet or online, and a lot of it goes to waste, and I just don't want to be part of that. I prefer to do something productive with whatever I gather, and also by sharing, I make all of this knowledge a deeper part of me. I just hope some of this will be useful to you guys. As I told you, I made this Alfred workflow that I could talk more in detail. I can even share it, but it's a work in progress, and I told you I'm not really a coder, so this workflow has a lot of mistakes, but I can go more in detail or even tell you how I made it. If you would like to hear about that, let me know. Also, remember to check the notes below this video, because I will give you some articles so that you can go and watch some videos by Tiago Forte or maybe read his blog. All of this information that I know about organization or building a second brain, I actually just got it for free by reading. I still cannot afford his course, but I think I will be able to afford the book that he's publishing next year. And I'm really excited about it, actually. I encourage you to do the same if you're interested in all of this. But if not, at least do consider having a system for managing your knowledge and all of the information that you consume from the internet. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Thank you for watching.